Good morning, students. Welcome back, students. Again, today we will do some revision work. I hope all of you knows the syllabus very well. Only one chapter we have for second unit test, that is introducing Western sociologist. So, from that point of view, today I want to discuss some of the questions like 3 marks, 2 marks, and the 5 marks questions. First questions, why do classes come into conflict according to Karl Marx? So what is the question? Why do classes come into conflict according to Marx? Karl Marx has studied two classes. I hope all of you knows very well. Karl Marx said that only two classes in the class struggle theory. One is the capitalist class, means the bourgeoisie, and another one is the working class, means the proletariat. Two opposite groups exist in each society. First, who does exploitations, and second is that who is being exploited. You have to write like that. First, who does exploitation, and second, that who is being exploited. So conflict is always going on between these two classes from the very beginning. Bourgeoisie owns the all means of production and it suppresses other groups with his means of production. The second class, means the working class, is the labor class, which was given the name of what? The name of proletariat. Yes. So class is always going on between the exploiter and the exploited, because capitalist hardly wants to give anything to laborer. That is the main reason for conflict. So according to Karl Marx, economic processes generally tend to generate class conflicts, though this also depends on political and social conditions. So students, I hope you understood why the class are come into conflict. It's a view of Karl Marx. Okay, this is a 3 marks question answer. Next question is, what are social facts and how we recognize them in our society? The phenomena and the situations and the circumstances, all these are included in social facts. So how can we recognize them? How? First of all, you have to write like that, in this way. Social facts are collective representations. Okay? Social facts are collective representations which emerge from the association of people. Because without the collective consciousness or without the concentrations of people, there will be no social facts. So peoples are the individual agents. They are the elements of social facts. They are not particular to a person, but of a general nature, independent of the individual. Durkheim called the emergent level. Emergent level, that is the level of complex collective life where social phenomena can emerge. So students, what do you mean by emergent level? Emergent level, that is the level of complex collective life where social phenomena can emerge. That is known as emergent level. Next, you can also write one of the Durkheim's most significant achievement in his demonstration that sociology, a discipline that dealt with abstract entities like social fact, could nevertheless be a science founded on observable, empirically verifiable evidence. Sociology's study only depends on the observable, empirically verifiable evidence. I have already said that for a sociologist, a society is a whole society is a laboratory for a sociologist. We are studying the social elements, social facts, social phenomena, social problems. So the most famous example of his use of new kind of empirical data in his study of suicide. So students, what do you think? Suicide. Suicide is a social phenomena. Obviously, you also write suicide is a social fact. Yes, it's a social fact. Each individual case of suicide was specific to the individual and his her circumstances. So understood what is a social fact? Now my next question is how moral codes are indicators of social solidarity. What is the question? How moral codes are indicators of social solidarity. So in the questions we have to first write down about solidarity. Solidarity or the social solidarity was to be found in the codes of conduct imposed on individuals by collective agreement. Moral facts are phenomena like others. They consist of rules of action recognizable by certain distinctive characteristics. It must then be possible to observe them, describe them, classify them, and look for certain laws explaining them. Society, according to Durkheim, was a social fact that existed as a moral community over and above the individual. Social solidarities exerted pressure on individuals to conform to the norms and expectations of the group. Moral codes are manifestations of particular social conditions. The moral code that is appropriate for one society is inappropriate for another. Okay? The prevailing social conditions could be deduced from the moral codes. This has made sociology akin to the natural sciences and is in keeping with his larger objective of establishing sociology as a rigorous scientific discipline. So, by observing a behavior pattern, it is possible to identify the norms, codes, and social solidarities which govern them. The existence of otherwise invisible thinking like the ideas, norms, codes, values, and so on could be empirically verified by studying the patterns of social behavior of the people. So, students, I'm requesting to all of you, please, when you will give the answer for your exams questions, it's better if you can write the answer with points. Through the points, you can explain everything. Okay. Again, I want to discuss the questions that is collective conscience. Not as a questions, collective conscience. It's a concept of whom? It's a concept of collective conscience is a concept of Emile Durkheim as a body of beliefs and sentiments common to the average of members of the society. It contains those beliefs and sentiments which are found in the average members of society. For example, it is people's belief that poor should be tortured, instead poor should be take care of them. Instead, people should take care of them. It is also a fact that division of labor is good for society. And within the division of labor, the mechanical and the organic solidarity are important part. According to mechanical solidarity, the collective conscience is extensive and strong, widely related to people's life. It controls the people through various religious or other traditional means of sanction. On the other hand, collective conscience it emphasizes the primary basis of society over the individual and his or her dignity. Gradually, the collective conscience declined and its influence and become less extensive. In the transitions of organic solidarity, this could be observed in the replacement of repressive by restitutive, that is, making amends of its by system of law. According to Durkheim, a society-wide collective conscience can only hold a segmental society together. So, the collective conscience becomes a diffuse, abstract cult of the individual, which as a civil religion supplies ultimate principles and justifications, but cannot bear the whole weight of social cohesion. Durkheim believes that collective conscience is in the belief and express itself in the form of symbols. That is, the festivals, any kinds of festivals, represents the victory of goods over evil. This belief can be seen in the concentrate from these festivals. Suppose in the festivals of Ram Navami, what we have seen or what we knows that the evil, maybe the evil will be destroyed. So the individual consciousness becomes subset of collective consciousness, and therefore any violation of collective consciousness is labeled as revolt against whole society. The influence of collective consciousness varies from society to society because peoples are different, their religion, their practices are different. So as a result, their collective conscience will be different from society to society. It is more prevalent among mechanical solidarity, that is less advanced and highly religious society. its influence declines in the organized society, that is advanced societies which are highly secular. The collective consciousness gets transformed from generation to generation through the process of what? Through the process of socialization. So students, I hope you understood, because on the depend of collective conscience, we will got several types of questions. Okay, so it's better to clear your views about the collective conscience. A collective consciousness, first a concept of Emile Durkheim. After that, you have to write the answer in this way. Now what I said. Okay. Now next question is the basic features of bureaucracy. I hope all of you knows. Again, I am repeating it. Officials have fixed areas of official jurisdictions governed by rules, regulations, laws, and administrative regulations. Number one, in the bureaucratic system, official positions in a bureaucracy are independent. Authority and office are placed on a graded hierarchy where the higher official supervises the lower one. Management of a bureaucratic organization is carried out on the basis of written documents. Means the file, we need the file to keep the record, which are preserved as records. Full-time attention of officials, irrespective of his her working hour in office. Hence, as officials' conduct in office is governed by exhaustive rules and regulations. All these are the features of bureaucracy. The upper class or the upper positions people, they should be follow the lower one. They should be control the lower grade peoples. So it's a system. A bureaucratic system is applicable in any types of organizations, office, because without bureaucracy we cannot run any system. Why? Why bureaucratic system means a huge, extensive division of labor. Understood? Another questions that is, most of the questions I have discussed. One more question I want to say, that is surplus value. Again, I am telling that I hope all of you have a clear idea about surplus value. The term surplus value refers to the quality of value produced by worker beyond the necessary labor time. That is the marking time required to produce a value equal to the one he has reserved in the form of wages. That is known as surplus value. First students, it's clear for you? Next, differentiate between the sacred and the profane. The sacred is that which is considered holy and very pure. It includes religious beliefs and rights, duties, or anything related to religious treatment par excellence. And what is profane? The profane relates to the ordinary utilitarian aspects of life, dull or routine, full of impurity. That is profane. Understood? Another things, you can also read the Karl Marx theory of class struggle, division of labor, Max Weber interpretive sociology. So like that. So students, in our revisions class, I have discussed many types of MCQs, questions, short questions, and the broad questions also. So now your work is you have to read out the whole chapter and revise the question and answer again and again. So I hope you can solve any kinds of questions related to the chapter. Today this much only. Thank you everyone.